Hello dear viewers and listeners of my podcast. So let me remind you that last time I talked about boarding a plane from Cancun, Mexico to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It was the Canadian airline Flair Air. The flight departed at 9:55 a.m. in Cancun. Arrival has been in Vancouver at 1:50 p.m. local time. The flight time was 6.5 hours. The plane was a Boeing 737, 2 rows of seats, 3 on each side. The flight was non-stop over the territory of the United States. The flight went smoothly, the staff was pleasant to deal with. And I would like to note that if you want something to eat or just drink water, at the Air Flair company you will need to buy it. For example, I paid $3 for a half-liter bottle of water using my bank card. After landing at the Vancouver airport, the events unfolded as follows. I went to the immigration control. There were no check-in officer there. There was only one employee who showed me where to go. At the first stage, there are machines where you take your fingerprints and scan your passport. Then you answer questions on the screen, such as the purpose of the visit, etc. This machine gives you a sheet with the data you entered and the number on it. Then you are free to go. But I had to make sure to get my work permit at the airport. Along the way, there was a sign for those who needed to get this work permit. In addition to this, for the CUAET program participants, there was an employee of Success, an organization that helps newly arrived migrants at the initial stage, right there in the same room. She was a Ukrainian woman. She organized a 2-week stay for me in a hotel of Vancouver. The Canadian officer also issued me a work permit for 3 years based on my passport and work visa. You can also ask the Success employee for some other necessary information, such as the address for your future bank card. I will tell you about getting the card itself a little later. After that, I was driven to my hotel in Richmond in a minivan for free. The weather was warm. It was mid-November and I could walk around without a jacket. At the hotel, I was given a plastic card with a room number. And for just 2 weeks, I became the owner of a spacious room with 2 double beds, a bathroom, and a coffee maker with coffee, tea, and sugar. The room is heated by an electric heater. However, I did not realize that it could be turned on for the first few days, so I got a little cold. But then everything became fine. The hotel also has a washing machine and dryer on the floor. The price of one load is $3.50. The next day I found the location of the nearest service center for issuing a SIN number. I have found this place by a Google map. It was about 3 kilometers away. There, a special employee gave me a paper ticket with a number in the queue. The queue was 2 hours long. I quite easily got my SIN number. I gave the address of my hotel. I didn't hide it. The specialist did not show any concern about it. Then the next day, I found the nearest bank branch. It was an RBC bank. But the bank didn't want to accept the address of the hotel. I called the number of Success, which I found on the internet, and they gave me their address. And with this address, I have opened bank account. As I later found out, this address was not the closest one to me from the addresses of the branches of this organization. So, if you have a similar situation, find the nearest success with the help of a map. You will receive your physical bank card to this address. At the same time, you will be able to use your bank account immediately. For example, to make an electronic money transfer, interact e-transfer using a banking app. After that, I applied for government financial aid under the CUAET program. It came to my account on the 5th day. And let me say it again, you can use it without even waiting for the card. My next task was and still is to look for housing and work. And I prefer to look for housing because it will determine where I can work. To search for housing, there is a website vancouver.craigslist.org and a marketplace on Facebook. As far as I have noticed, there are more interesting and new offers on the marketplace. Minimum prices for housing range from $500 Canadian for a bed in a shared room to $900 for a private room. So I'm still searching at the moment. In addition to this, I will add some information about Vancouver itself. As I noticed, there is a very extensive bus system here. You can take a bus to any corner of the city. I can speak of the very distant suburbs, but you can get to Richmond, downtown, Burnaby, Surrey without any problems. There are also several TransLink subway lines in the city. By the way, an interesting fact, there are no drivers in the Vancouver subway. The cars drive by their own, only with passengers. The subway has 3 zones which determine the price of the ticket. The price of one zone is $3.15 Canadian and 3 zones cost $6.20. You can buy a physical ticket at ticket machines at the entrances to the subway. You can also simply use your contactless bank card. When you exit the subway, you also tap your card to open the passage. This is how it is checked how many zones the passenger has traveled through. But the card will be charged for 3 zones, and later the difference will be returned to your account. To save money, you can also buy a travel pass. Next. Most of the buildings in Vancouver are small 2-story or 1-story houses, which was a bit of news to me. Only in the city center are there neighborhoods with high rises. About the stores. There are no cheap Walmart supermarkets in downtown Vancouver at all. There are other, slightly more expensive stores. I was lucky that there is still a Walmart a short distance from my hotel. It is in Richmond. There are also a lot of Chinese retailers in Richmond too. I also found a large second-hand store called Value Village here in Richmond. I bought a couple of warmer clothes there. But the general impression of Vancouver stores is as if I'm in Ukraine 20 years ago. In Europe, where I have lived in recent years, it is a bit more civilized. But nevertheless, this is a corner of our planet too, and I will try to explore it. Bye.